Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 109. I'm Todd. This is AJ, and we're back.
It's Polo Tuesday. We're wearing polos. Are you?
We, yeah, we are wearing polos today. I don't know if you're listening on the podcast, you had zero reason to be told that, and even if you're watching, you did. But it is true. We have decided to become professional.
You know, looking back, it's so funny, man, because I used to wear dressier shirts all the time.
I don't believe that for a second. No, I'm just kidding.
You have
Gum. I put it there intentionally.
Okay.
I didn't. We were about to film. I didn't want to have.
That's fair. Chewing. I was like, whoa. Great. But anyways, so I realized on older episodes of even just live and everything, I used to wear much dressier shirts.
Me
and
too.
now I'm just kind of chilled out.
We've just stopped caring.
The plain T-shirt just goes a long way, man.
Yeah, and we don't care anymore. No,
and we don't care anymore.
I was really thinking, man, we're considering, since we're just have no point to anything we're doing now today, that we may go back to the old ways for live. Mm-hmm. You know, remember the old setup?
That's right.
Not the old, but the mid setup with the lights in a different room, and it's dark, and we're sitting at one table, just three guys, or maybe two guys and a girl, just talking about life.
That's right.
So I looked back on those. Those were cool looking.
They were cool.
We had the
looking.
Different lights.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. Guess you guys will have to keep tuning in.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do it for live. That is. So this is probably why no one listens to this show.
Because our intros. Yeah,
make no sense. So today we are going to return to Topic Tuesday. We've got some good questions. Someone sent in a really good topic with very detailed questions to get us thinking, and I think it's a great topic. I think it's one that a lot of people it will resonate with a lot of people, and it's one, ironically, when we get to it, kind of came up for me yesterday in a conversation with a dear friend of mine, a lady from our church. So she's listening. I think it connects in a weird way, or it connects.
Right.
So we'll get to that. I guess I didn't tell you guys, if you're new to the podcast or to the show, Real Talk's just an opportunity to talk about life, God, the Bible, and everything in between.
Everything.
And there's a link somewhere, wherever you're watching this, www.theremnant.life/real-talk. Sorry about that. You click it, go down and submit a question. You can put in a topic, you can put in a question, anything you want. It goes into our database completely anonymously. Couldn't find you if we tried.
Could not.
Just also a way for you to have a dialogue with us back, or you can do it in the comments below this video, whether it's on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, yeah, all
Instagram.
Those. We on the
IGTV.
gram, man.
That's right.
So, that's the gist of it, guys. So we're 109 episodes in just on the podcast/web series. That's what we call this.
That's right.
And then we have our live show,
which is just as many.
Yeah, I was about to say. So if you were to add it all up, we have legitimately probably done over. We know we have done over 200 shows. That's almost a year's worth of, not really, but it's getting close to a year's worth of shows.
It's
that
still
nuts?
crazy.
Yeah, so
man.
That's the gist of it, folks. So yeah, man, we're not going to really talk too much about our weeks today because we have a lot to talk about. So before we dive into the topic, which today, if you want to know what's the topic, what is it?
What is it?
It's on relationships, singleness, relationships, marriage. What's that? What's the deal with that? Christianity and some really good questions I think will resonate with a lot of you folks out there. But before that, because Real Talk, it tries to be hip.
Ooh,
we try to be in with what's it called? Pop culture.
With the crowd.
Ironically, we just watched this video yesterday, so we got a question. I think I sent it to you.
Yep.
From one of our incredible viewers on a recent pop culture phenomenon. And in this case, probably not in a good way. You want to fill everybody in?
Sure, yeah. So had one of our listeners ask us a question about rapper Lil Nas X. If you guys hadn't heard about it yet, essentially this guy is just he's released a shoe with this art collective group called MSCHF. And essentially they created a shoe called Satan's Shoe. It contains a bronze pentagram and an inverted cross and actual human blood. It's one drop of human blood in the sole of each shoe that they made.
This is real, by the way.
Yes. And oddly enough, the blood was donated by that art collective team and the members who are working on the project. On the shoe, it has the verse Luke 10:18, and they are priced at $1,018 in reference to the verse. So the question that the people had was, what's your take on the shoe? And they also just want to make the comment of how sad of a world without Jesus that we live in a world where they make shoes like that. Which,
yeah, so it goes even farther. So they released 666.
Yep, only 666 pairs.
The verse, was it Luke 10:18?
Oh, yeah, Luke 10:18.
So that verse, I don't even need to look it up because I did yesterday. It says, and we saw Satan fall like lightning from the sky. So it's referencing
so crazy, man.
Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think before we even get into this shoe, he released this. It'd be strange enough, okay? And though he doesn't mention it,
yeah,
there's clearly a direct correlation between this shoe and a music video that he just dropped.
Yeah, brand new song.
And I'm really hesitant about talking about this because it just gives it more views.
Yeah, I get it.
And I really encourage you guys. I'm going to reference it. It is pretty vile. And I don't encourage anyone to watch it. You're probably going to, but definitely don't let your kids. If you hear your kids talking about this, man, I would keep them away from this.
Oh yeah.
It's a pretty vile video.
Yes.
Okay, as far as the imagery. So I want to talk about that. You and I watched this last night for the first time because we want to be up to date.
That's right.
So the video, before we get to the shoe, opens up with a scene with Lil Nas X essentially being like an Adam, right?
Yeah, he's in the Garden of Eden.
He's in the Garden of Eden. And a serpent crawls up a tree, clearly Satan, whispers to him, and then first it appears that the serpent seduces him, right? And then it kisses him. This gets weird. Yeah. This devil man. Then we get to a scene which artistically, I may be wrong, but I don't know about your thoughts on. But the scene essentially kind of shows him being judged in heaven, meaning Lil Nas X himself.
Say so, yeah.
At first I thought it was referencing Satan, but I think he's Lil Nas X in this point, and heaven is judging him, casting him out of heaven. He's then caught by an angel, winged figure, right? Again, the illusion being, or the illusion with an A, alluding to Satan grabs him, sort of. He then rides a stripper pole, for lack of a better word, down to hell.
That's right.
And then dressed almost femininely, in my opinion. What do you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And then he dances seductively on Satan, who is actually shows Satan
on a throne
with horns. He then seduces him, makes out with him. It's very sexual, perverse. It really is perverse.
Yes, it's
and
pretty
then
bad.
Kills the devil and then sort of takes his place.
Takes his crown.
Yeah. And again, man, I really wrestled with whether we should even reference it, but I think it's important to know how deep this symbolism goes.
Yeah, man.
So the shoe was released in correlation with the video.
That's right.
What are your thoughts before I get into this shoe when you watched that video?
Oh, it's disgusting, man.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's repulsive. It's funny because
we didn't even really talk about our thoughts on it.
We just kind of watched it.
What are your thoughts?
I think the first thing I said was wow.
It was uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, man. It's funny because before I was a Christian, that kind of imagery and stuff, usually it wouldn't bother me
at all.
Because I'd seen that stuff before.
Interesting.
And I was like,
this is a great point to bring up in a minute.
Yep. And so because I could watch and be like, oh, it's art and it's creative, and I would fall into that. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And now because I'm a Christian, I'm like, man, that's repulsive, dude.
See, that's part of one thing I did say yesterday. I think is so.
It was uncomfortable.
That's the thing. Listen, sometimes as a believer, to me, it's not like I think this video has evil powers or anything, but I think what you just said is so powerful. We haven't talked about this. You said before I became a Christian, it wouldn't even really bother me. I think that's the problem I have with a lot of this imagery is that it's making it normal. It's normalizing it to people to where they're getting used to seeing it. It's like it doesn't even, it's making Satan, it's making the idea of Satan, it's making him a protagonist. It's making him a sympathetic figure. It's making him someone that just wants to free. I mean, really, that's free us, those kinds of things. And it normalizes those images. And our kids are seeing that stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to say that's interesting. I didn't even really know if I told you that, but my concern was more of it normalizing stuff.
Yes, and that's what I was about to get into is it also made me realize the amount of just influence it has on culture. And
it had 40 million views yesterday when we watched it.
I was about to check the views.
So I'd be curious to see where it's at now. It had 40 million views on YouTube. Okay, and it just got released, I don't know, within the last 48 hours. If it jumped up a million again, that would be crazy.
I'm going to take a look here.
He's going to look.
Let's see. It was released 4 days ago. It's at 45 million.
So it went up. I want you guys to know. Actually, it wasn't. It would have been last night, like 1 a.m. I don't know something. Saw it was at 40 million. It's at 45 million. It went up 5 million views in like 12 hours. Wow. So yeah, going to the shoe. I don't know how. What was the specific question? What are can you tell?
What's your take on the shoes?
I mean, to me, man, it's so weird. It's so like, the world's gonna tell you that. What are you talking about? It's just art, all these things. But okay, are you thinking about what is happening here?
Right. It's weird, man. I've kind of landed in two places here. It's either A, they don't know what they're messing with, and they're literally just ignorant to the point where they're like, you know what? Yeah, man, this is just good publicity, or this will get people fired up, so they'll take a look at our product or whatever it is, right? Or they do know what they're doing, and it's evil.
Well, this is my thing. Either way, so if they're in on it and know what they're doing, clearly that's easy to talk about. But like, let me put it in a way that's weird. Mm-hmm. Why is it always Satan? Why isn't it Zeus? Why isn't it Thor? Why isn't it why is it if it's art? Why is it Satan? So whether they're pawns and tools, okay, or whether they're intentionally doing it,
yeah.
To me, it's so blatantly obvious that it's I don't know, man, that it's evil, right? It is.
Yeah.
It is to me a big symbol of where our culture is.
Absolutely. And it makes me wonder if instead of it being like a Zeus or whatever, I wonder if it's because Christianity is considered the biggest religion in the world, right?
But it
makes me wonder if that's why.
Okay, so let's use your rationale. That's still making my point.
Right.
So, because I think that's the argument, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pick Christianity, but yet we're gonna idolize, glorify Satan. Why do that?
I think it's because what he stands for.
Which is what?
True freedom.
Freedom to do what?
Whatever you feel like.
Bingo. In fact, the music video says that, right?
Yeah.
We hide what we want to do.
Yeah.
Or who we are, all this stuff.
But here I can be whoever I want to be or whatever it is.
I just think it's funny, whether you're a Christian or not, right, and you're listening, that Satan symbolizes something to you. And that we've come to a place where we want to glorify that. That he has come to symbolize something positive. Mm-hmm. Or we hate Christianity so much that we want to anger Christians, so let's use, do you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what he said about it too, actually. I think
really?
I saw one of his quotes, because I think I can't remember if he was either asked about the music video or the shoes. It might have been the shoes. But he said that he wanted to make the Christians feel as angry as they made him feel about how they pushed him away because he was gay.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah.
Just a curious little thing. It also is interesting that this was released 4 days ago, which is Saturday, right after we're getting ready to go into it's Easter this Sunday, right?
Yeah.
I've literally
Palm Sunday
sitting here. I was like, this is exactly
that was 100% intentional.
Oh, definitely.
That's a great point.
Good point, dude. Yeah.
Which even if this isn't so. If we want to look at this as there is spiritual war going on right now.
Well, there is. I mean, Bible talks about that.
This is probably like one of those things where you're like, yep, this is definitely people,
right.
Especially right now with people who are looking to believe in something. I think we've said that for the last few weeks. Like with COVID and everything that's going on right now, people are looking for something to have hope in.
Yeah. Weird. It's funny. You brought great point, by the way, about Easter and Palm Sunday. I didn't even think of that. Certainly, I didn't think of the correlation. Obviously a reason for that.
Right.
So to me, it's less whether or not he's worshipped Satan. If you're not with Jesus, you're following the prince of this world, as Scripture says. It's Satan regardless of what you call him. But man, I was reading some of my family's. I'm not on social media right now, like Facebook. And I actually saw some of my family's stuff, man. And if they see it, okay, whatever, they'll get mad. I have some siblings and things. I love them dearly. But man, it breaks my heart, like, just what? So I have a younger. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but I guess as a big brother. So I have a younger sister who's in her teens. Mm-hmm. She sees this, she's probably mad. Whatever. I love you, but to see the culture she's accepted, and how she's a product of this culture.
It's hard, man.
she's a product of this culture. And she didn't even, it's not that she mentioned anything about this, but it all happened yesterday at the same time. But it's a product of this culture, man. And the things that she says and the things like, it's about what I do and F people. And like, one of the things she shared was like, don't worry about being nice, be a biatch and take care of yourself and don't be good to people. And literally said, just like it all is a product of this culture, man, that glorifies self at the expense of everybody else.
Right.
Which goes back to what you said, tying it back to the video, right? Like,
right.
Do what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but live in a world where there's no consequence to what you feel.
It's all about you. Mm-hmm. And if the world tells you something you don't want to hear, or someone tells you something you don't want to hear, they're hateful, and forget them.
That's right.
It's scary, man.
It is scary. You where we're at right now in the world, and especially here in America, like we are really truly seeing what the Bible has told us. Mm-hmm. When I think about it, about people, it's what is it, Sodom? When God talks about Sodom
and Gomorrah,
and you can see similarities, man, of just the perversion of it all.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, and I think it's symbolic of where we are as a culture, like you just said, that this is like, are we even really that shocked? We watched it, but at the same time, we're sitting here going, what? And it's all encased in guilt. Like if you stand against it, then you're standing against, it's tied to homosexuality, like he said. He ties it to, well, Christians hated me and pushed me away, and man, and kids that are just. It's just a wild world. I told you guys I read that statistic. Guys, don't quote me the exact statistic, but I think it was from like 2017 till through 2020. 5 times more teens are saying they're transsexual, homosexual, whatever. And now it's like 1/5 of Generation Z claims that.
A fifth.
A fifth, dude.
That's a lot, man.
And yeah, we're come on. Whatever your moral stance, whatever your religion even, you can't tell me that's not staggering and weird, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to say, they're just free to say it now. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe it for a second. I believe it's glorified in the culture. Mm-hmm. And,
I'm with you, man, especially not like you said, the numbers before. I know we've looked at numbers before, that kind of stuff. Like it went from like people who are struggling with this, they call it, I think, is it Britain? I know Clint's talked about it before, but someone did like research on it, and as it being like a mental disorder.
Well, yeah, that's going to a different topic, but it used to be considered that.
Right.
Are you talking about what's the gender dysmorphia? Yeah.
Yes.
The confusion
and how it was like,
where they're even realizing, oh man, we went too far. Like there's an issue here,
right?
Because they can't even.
To me, actually, this whole thing, like we're even looking at culture. Like I've even seen it with my little brother. Like we had a conversation a few months ago where I had a conversation with him, and him and me got into it just over stuff where I was like, this is what I believe. And I don't believe that we hate the person who is in sin, but it is still sin. And then people don't do that.
And you were called hateful for that sort of, right?
I was called hateful. I was called a bigot. I was called a lot of things in that conversation that were not very nice. Yeah.
And guys, these are our views. It's important for us. Like we're not saying, we're just sharing our well, I'm not talking about when we share our family stuff, guys, like we're trying to be real with you. It doesn't mean you don't know our families. We're not trying to bring our families into it. We love our families, but we have these conversations, and we're different. And I don't know yours. I don't want to speak for yours, but my family wouldn't say they're Christian. In fact, my sister flat out now would tell you that she's not. Mm-hmm.
Interesting thing about my family is they claim to be Christian.
Yeah, and you got to take
discussion.
Yeah. So it's just that's a great point, Clint. So your brother, he says he's a Christian and stuff, and but yet at the same time, you're seeing culture starting to change. What does that mean? What does it mean to be a Christian? To say something is a sin is to be hateful, and that's a dangerous place to be. Where does that end?
Well, we were talking about there was a church that we talked about a long time ago that just said that the Bible was not you said emphatic.
The inerrant word of God. Meaning it's not the perfect word of God. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect.
So it's basically
infallible.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault.
So he had a friend at church who's a very, very, very smart person. I knew them when I went to that church that he goes to, and ended up talking to them, and they're even going as far as there was not this person isn't there, it's just another youth that's with him. And they were saying, well, the Bible isn't fully translated correctly. It's not.
See?
It also is like interpreted for their time and not ours, so it's
I've heard
not
this
caught up to
argument
date
too.
right now. And I said, that's not how that is. This is current. This is living. This isn't. It doesn't change.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you think that it does, but it doesn't. This is pure truth.
Yeah,
And
man.
just because truth makes you uncomfortable and you don't like the way it is and you have to wrestle with what that truth means does
Right.
not mean it changes just because you think that it's not nice for you to do that.
Well, we just said that Sunday, right? I said, Christianity should be us wrapping ourselves around Christ, not trying to wrap Christ around us, meaning Jesus doesn't change, we should change. And we're trying to change
That's good.
him, right? We're trying to change truth to fit our desires.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works. We should
Nope.
change in the face of truth. So
That's right.
It's a weird, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good,
It's a
man.
weird world.
I agree with you 100%, dude. Like, I don't know. It's all.
And this doesn't mean we hate Lil Nas X, man. If that guy wanted to come, we would talk to that guy. I don't have any hard feelings towards him. I don't think I'm not looking at him going, he's evil. I love the guy. No one would believe that. It's true. But I'm telling you, what is it? I look at guys like that sometimes and I go, I think of Jesus' word. What does it benefit a man to gain the world but lose his soul?
You know what's wild is everything. It all stems from somewhere. And it's hurt.
Well, yeah, and brokenness and sin, and points back to the need for Jesus.
Yep, because he even gave his reasoning, right? Because of the pain I felt.
And I do think, there's lessons for us to learn in the church today. We can stand against the sin and the perversion and the evil without demonizing the person. Jesus wants to save him too. Jesus loves him. Lil Nas X, right? He wants him to know him. He doesn't hate him, even if he's been doing things. That's the wild thing about Jesus. Is even now, his heart's desire is for him. He was made in his image.
Yep, it's crazy. And I don't know. It's a cliche saying, but it always reigns true. Is like, don't hate the sinner, hate the sin. And I don't think people take that as serious as they should.
It's true. And yet, you're absolutely right, they don't. But also, the other side of it is people say, well, it's hating the sinner if I hate the sin. And that's not true either, right? Like,
No.
They want to say, well, you can't hate the sin because that's hating the person.
Not
It's
true.
so weird to live in a culture where if you disagree with someone or make them uncomfortable, you're demonized.
Yep.
And it's called hate. That is weird. There's no we truly are. It creates weak people.
Yes,
In the sense of like they can't handle disagreement.
and like you said, where's the line? Because it could be anything now, literally anything. I could say 2 + 2 is 5, and if you tell me it's 4, that's hate.
You're hating me.
Yep.
Yeah. You're big. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, guys, great questions. Stuff to think about.
Oh yeah, thank you.
It all points back to God. I'm telling you, like, why pick Satan? Why mess with him? Why use the imagery? Oh, they're saying no. They're gonna tell you it's because that's the predominant religion. But it's deeper than that, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's deeper than that. You notice they don't mock Islam, right? Even though they would, like, they don't.
It's interesting.
It's just interesting.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, not that that's even trying to mock it, but I mean, they wouldn't do that. They're not taking stories from the Quran. And even though the Quran condemns homosexuality too, right?
Yep, but you don't hear about it.
Well, of course not. Why? That should tell you something. Jesus said, the servant is not greater than the master. They hated me, they'll hate you too.
That's right. That's so good.
Anyway,
That's good.
interesting stuff.
Oh yeah.
All right. So,
What are your guys' thoughts?
yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Absolutely. Whether that's through the anonymous link, www.thereverend.live/real-talk, or in the comments below.
Help us out. We love to speak to you. So, hey, got a topic here, and the topic is Christian dating / relationships. We're going to shift gears and move to this.
Okay.
Christian dating / relationships. And so I'm just going to throw all of the kind of questions out, and we can maybe come back to them.
Okay.
So this person says, what makes it different than, quote, normal dating? Why is there so much pressure in Christian dating? How can we date better without that pressure? Why is there pressure to be in a relationship or get married in Christianity? Why does Christian culture make, this is an interesting one, why does Christian culture make marriage seem varsity and singleness like JV? Oof, that's a great question.
That's a cool way to put it.
How can and what can singles learn from married people, and what can married people learn from singles? So it's just this whole idea of, and this is interesting, I think, for you even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of us, we came from non-Christian backgrounds,
That's
but
right.
you're more recent.
Yeah.
What makes it different than normal dating? Why is there so much pressure?
Well, to start, what makes it different than I guess I'll call it secular dating, so I can try to make sure so you guys can hear the. Yeah, thank you. To me, the difference between Christian dating and secular dating is, in secular dating, it was all about me.
Oh man,
it was.
That's
powerful. I painted a picture. This is my own personal experience with it, but I don't know how you guys are, if you're a Christian or not listening. But for me, when I was not a Christian, I was dating. It was all about me and how I felt and what I could get. And in Christian, and clearly there was no sort of standard as to there was societal morality to what a relationship was supposed to be, and that's what you followed. But even then, a lot of things it didn't matter. That's why today, like you talk about, people are like, oh, well, divorce that person if you don't like them, whatever. So it's similar to that. You have your basic bleak outline of what morality is inside of a relationship in the secular dating world. So for me, that's what it was. It was selfish. And now, being a Christian, I'm in a Christian relationship right now. It's not about me. I have to sacrifice things and do my best to love her. And loving her can look different, and that's because that's what I'm called to.
So why does it? What did you just say? Oh, you said now it's about her. And why is it? Why is it different?
It's different now because
I'm just trying to get you to
right.
Yeah.
It's because now being a Christian, I realize the value of what Jesus did for me. And in a relationship that is supposed to lead to a marriage. In a marriage, I know that it's a representation of Christ loving the church, and I know that with Christ loving the church, He gave everything.
Yeah, and the definition of love has changed for you, right?
That's
love
right.
before is about me.
That's right. Love was a feeling about me, and now I realize that love is an action. Love is for others.
Yeah, that's good. And I like that you said that. I think that's the big key. Christian dating should be intentional.
Yes.
And I think for me, speaking from my experience, is that, and I think I've told this story. I was dating the first Christian girl I dated after I became a believer. Her parents did not like me. I think their reasons for liking me were not, it's weird, were not right. But I think they were right to not like me dating their daughter, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Because I don't think what?
You've told me the story.
I don't think that I got it. And here's the thing, I remember telling her dad, I thought it would help him. I was like, hey, I'm on the phone with him, trying to schmooze it over, and I go, listen, man, I'm not trying to marry your daughter. I'm not just trying to get her and marry her tomorrow. And he goes, then what are you doing?
And you were like, oh,
yeah, man, and that to this day has stuck with me, and I don't think I got it. It's intentional. It should be leading somewhere. That doesn't mean that when you date someone, you're getting married tomorrow, but you have that in the back of your mind that when you get to the point that like for instance, I'm not going to marry this person, you shouldn't be in a relationship with them.
That's right.
And that's something that I dropped the ball and have failed a ton in my relationships, is because I think you said it so well. I think that I underestimated how much the way I was raised, meaning outside the church and viewed relationships, affected even my relationships once I became a believer.
That's right. Yeah, man. It takes a radical change of who you used to be, especially in the dating world. I think, and I love what you said, because I 100% agree with you. That's another big difference, right? In secular dating, the goal is usually blurry because it just depends on how you feel. While in Christian dating, the clear goal is, if you're with this person, you want to get married.
And once you come to the place, that doesn't mean, again, and I think that's some of the pressure, answering the question. I think the pressure is the realization that, okay, why am I dating them? And I do think we put a pressure to get there fast. Like, you need to get to marriage fast.
Yeah.
And this is where I still probably make some Christian people upset sometimes, older people, is like, listen, I do think that it's okay to take a little time to figure that out and learn how to be in a relationship with someone, et cetera. So that's probably where but yes, once you know if you're not going to marry that person.
That's right.
Or if lust is becoming too big issue, and Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians, I believe chapter 7, when be careful.
That's
Start
right.
burning with lust.
That was another thing I was going to bring up, because that's probably clearly, everyone's probably like, have you guys not brought this up yet? Clearly sex, right? In a secular dating world, sex is just viewed as like a thing to do.
Yeah.
It's casual. When you're with someone, you have sex with them.
Yeah, I just watched a part of a podcast, a popular podcast. I won't say who it is, a secular podcast, where they were making fun of the girl who I don't believe she's a Christian, but she said, "Well, I don't have sex with anyone I date until 3 months," and the guys went crazy because she said that her boyfriend cheated on her because they hadn't got to 3 months, and he started sleeping with some other girl, and they go, "Well, I can't really blame him. You made him. That's a long time to wait. I can't believe you wait." And like that. It's interesting because it ties into what you said. I love what you said. I think secular dating, it was about me. Christian dating, it shouldn't just be about me, right? It's about honoring God first and loving the other person. Right. I think, which then led to the answer to your question, whoever asked this topic, which is why there's so much pressure. There's pressure because we know, especially if you're truly following Christ, you know that it's serious.
Yes.
You know that you don't want to mess up, meaning physically.
That's right.
You don't, there's definitely pressure to be married, get married fast.
Yeah. And like you say, especially because like lust, right? Like,
which isn't necessarily wrong to get married, fast, as long as you understand what marriage is.
That's right. As long, like you said, as long as you know you're making the conscious decision, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. So I think that might be some of the pressure. Some of these other questions in here are pretty interesting, though.
Oh, yeah.
How can we date better without that pressure? So I don't think the pressure is going to go away.
Right.
But how can we date better in Christianity?
I think people have to be more Christians in the dating world. I think you need to be more open to what love really is, because I think a lot of us attach love to how we feel, just as humans. So I think we drag that into our relationships a lot, especially in Christian dating. So, finding your foundation in God, even in a relationship, because I think when people are living their own individual lives, it's easier to find your foundation in God. But then as soon as you add someone intimately into your life, I think that tends to almost kind of rock the scale a little bit. And if you're not careful, you'll start putting that one over. You'll start putting them over God, and before you know it, your whole life's about them, and that's when it's unhealthy. So again, I think the pressure, I think that'll help, in my opinion. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like.
I think there's also the idea, a couple things.
Yeah.
Stop worrying so much about what everyone else is thinking.
That's good.
That's the same thing in life. We get caught up in I want to look like a Christian couple. Focus on being two Christians who are dating and getting closer together.
That's right.
And I think you need to quit trying to take the pressure off, because it's going to be there. What you need to do is, what is the purpose of dating? Are you guys compatible? Do you want the same things out of life? How's your faith? Are you matched in the strength of your faith? Are each of you willing to, is that person seeming to desire to be pursuing the biblical role of husband or wife in how they approach life?
Yes.
So for instance, is the guy, does he want to be responsible? Does he want to lead? Is he willing to make decisions? Ladies, I'm going to be honest with you out there. You are told that you're in a rough spot. My family, again, a great example of this, is like, I don't need no man. It's like, okay, guys, if you're with a woman who constantly is pushing back, always wants to remind you that she's a woman, hear her roar. It's kind of like a strong man. A strong man doesn't have to bully everyone around him. Well, a strong woman doesn't have to prove to everyone that she's a strong woman. A strong woman can choose to lead and give opportunities for the man. I mean, choose to let the guy lead and give him opportunities to be the man he wants to be.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure how else you can take better date other than quit worrying about what everyone's saying.
Yeah, man.
And don't be careful the level of intimacy that you allow yourself to get into, because then it gets harder and harder to think clearly.
Once you go into another level of intimacy, you're opening up more doors slowly and slowly and slowly. You got to be careful. 100% agree with you.
And integrate your faith into your relationships. Go to church together. Let other people see. All those kinds of things.
That's good.
but quit worrying about everyone else. That doesn't mean don't take wisdom, but why is there pressure to be in a relationship or get married in Christianity? I think there definitely is. And I think that ties to why does Christian culture make marriage seem like varsity and singleness JV? That's so good, and I 100% think you're right. That there is a glorification of being married, and I'm curious if that's what Scripture says. You already know I know the answer. So why is that? Why is marriage glorified over singleness?
I think it's weird, man. I think we view marriage as like some sort of badge of honor, like to be like it's like showing like you're a man now,
or a woman,
or woman. That's right. Like, which is odd, and I don't even know how that happened. I think that it's viewed as to me, it's weird because I feel like it's almost like a societal standard that's kind of leaked its way into Christianity. So, like, when people think of like the ideal life, they think of like
But why? Why is that the ideal life?
Honestly, man, I don't know. I don't know why that's the ideal life. Like the white picket fence sort of deal. Like you see it in culture, right? Like all the TV shows about it. I think if anything, we've been given that picture to settle for what life is supposed to be, in quotes, air quotes, supposed to be.
Yeah, man. So when you're kind of talking about this, it reminds me of 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Okay, Paul talks about marriage and singleness, and it's interesting. So he goes on and he starts in chapter 7, verse 1, talking about it's good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman. He's like, what? Because sexual morality is so common. Each woman should have his own wife. Each man should have his own wife. So essentially, if you can't control yourself sexually, you should get married.
Yeah.
So it's at least biblical. Wife, blah, blah, goes on, talks about rights. And then he says this interesting comment. Verse 6 says, I say the following as a concession, not a command. I wish that all people were just like me, but each has his own gift from God. One person in this way and another in that way. What's he mean by like me? Unmarried. Paul is unmarried. Verse 8 says, I say to the unmarried and to widows, it is good for them to remain as they are. But if they do not have self-control, they should marry, for it's better to marry than burn with desire. Hey, if you're unmarried and widows, it's good for you to be single. And people aren't going to like this. So then you go on to, where are we at? About the unmarried and widows, verse 25. About virgins, I have no command from the Lord, but I do give an opinion as one who by the Lord's mercy is trustworthy. Therefore, I consider this to be good because of the present stress. It is fine for a man to remain as he is. Are you bound to a wife? Do not seek to be loose. Are you loose from a wife? Do not seek a wife. However, if you get married, you have not sinned, and if a virgin marries, she has not sinned. But such people will have trouble in this life, and I'm trying to spare you. And I say this, brothers, the time is limited. So from now on, those who have wives should be as though they have none. That's interesting. So if you have wives, you should be as though they have none. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, I'll tell you right now. He goes down to say, verse 32, I want you to be without concerns. An unmarried man is concerned about the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But a married man is concerned about the things of the world, how he may please his wife, and his interests are divided. An unmarried woman or a virgin is concerned about the things of the Lord, so that she may be holy in both body and spirit. But a married woman is concerned about the things of the world, how she may please her husband. Now I'm saying this for your own benefit. And then he goes on, verse 36, but if a man thinks he's acting improperly toward his virgin, if she's past marriageable age, so it must be, he can do what he wants. He's not sinning, they can get married. But he who stands firm in his heart, who's no under compulsion to decide in his heart to keep his own virgin will do well, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's interesting that he says, I wish you would all be like me. Is not sinned. Okay, but such people have trouble in this life, and I'm trying to spare you. Time is limited. And he says, from now on, those who have wives or husbands should be as though they have none. What does he mean by that? He means like this. Even if you're married, you should still be concerned how to please the Lord.
Yes.
So meaning when you're single, it's easier to focus on.
That's right.
If you don't have a husband or wife, it's easier to not make them an idol, right? Because you don't have one. So singleness is a gift. Paul's implying that singleness is a gift when he says, I wish each one was as me, but everyone has their own gift. So singleness is a gift to use and a time in your life, whether it's forever or not, to be able to really do kingdom work. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I love that section.
Yeah, sorry,
really
I just think it's important.
Yes.
Going back to glorifying marriage, it is funny when Paul actually kind of makes it seem the other way around.
That's right. So I don't know how, because I guess I don't really know the why behind it. I don't know if that's just because that is our. I don't want to say nature. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the why is as to how we got where we are when it comes to this kind of like culture of wanting, like, that's the standard.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just natural, and then we'll use the verse of Genesis that, to have children, etc.
Right.
I will talk, since I gave that side of it, let's talk Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5, starting in chapter 22, Paul kind of calls out the wives and the husbands of what they should do. Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is of the church. Now as the church submits to Christ, so wives are to submit to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her to make her holy, cleansing her with the water of washing. He did this, etc. For the same way husbands are to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For just as Christ does the church, and we are members of the body. And then 32 says, this mystery is profound, but I'm talking about Christ and the church. To sum up, each one of you is to love his wife himself, and the wife to respect her husband. There is a beautiful picture in marriage,
absolutely,
of Christ and the church, of that sacrifice,
yep,
and what it looks like. So there's beauty there. I don't know. I definitely think I can say this. I was, as a single pastor for a long time, I was constantly told, well, you can't talk to me about marriage. You're not married. You can't preach on that. And I want to be like, man, well, that's funny. Would you tell Paul and Jesus that?
Right. Yeah, man. There's a lot of just weird, like, there's a lot of ignorance as to what, it's almost like people, it doesn't matter how long you're in as a Christian. I think there's a lot of times, like you said, it becomes all Christianese, man. They forget that this is real, man. They forget that Jesus was a real person. He was never married, but he lived a perfect, sinless life. And he's the ultimate teacher of how we're supposed to live life. And that includes marriage.
I'm going to tell you
all these things.
I'm going to tell you this right now, and I've said it before. I'm about to probably make some people. I believe that the church culture idolizes marriage and family. I'm going to say it right now. I believe a lot of people out there idolize marriage and family, meaning they put their wives and kids above God, and they justify it because that's accepted in Christian culture, and it's not true. It's not true. Jesus, they came to Jesus and said, hey, your sister, your mom and your brothers and your family are out here and saying to leave. And he goes, no, these are my family and brothers and sisters. He's making a point. And I'm telling you right now, some of you out there literally idolize marriage. Mm-hmm. Even do you know you can be married and idolize your husband or wife, and that's not okay?
Right.
And people don't want to hear that. Right. And well, what do you mean, Todd? How do I... he talks about it. When you're married, it's very easy to care more about pleasing your wife than pleasing God, or your husband, vice versa. And this, I think I told you earlier, I had a conversation yesterday, and God bless this is a dear friend. If she's watching, I'm not talking poorly about her, I love her. She's always honest with me. And but I kind of asked her something, and she was saying she was kind of struggling a little bit. And, which I'm so thankful for her honesty. I wish everyone was honest.
Yeah.
But kind of talking about our church, and she goes, I think community starts with the kids, and we don't have enough stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, there's some validity to that. But I asked her a question I ponder. I go, why do they have to be one or the other? And how do the single people get community if everything's built around the kids?
Yep.
And I don't know how to tell this. My genuine view is that you're idolizing your children.
Right.
You're idolizing your And even as I say that, people are going to be like, Todd doesn't like kids and doesn't think that's not true.
He didn't say that.
But they think that, don't they? Because I say that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, man. I think it's an odd thing. I think the reason we do that with marriage is it gives us a tangible God to worship. Get what I mean? If I have a wife, I have tangibly a God to please and worship. And if I'm doing well, my God will tell me I'm doing well, and reward me, and I'll be a good boy, and vice versa. If you're a wife and your husband. So I don't know, but I definitely do agree that we tend to do that. Mm-hmm. Why Christian culture does it? Probably because they haven't read the Bible.
That's so good.
Because Paul in chapter 7 tells us, they're each essentially the whole part of chapter 7 is we're to glorify God in whatever situation we're in, and both have their benefits. And singleness can be an incredible gift because it frees us up. I can tell you right now, had I been married as early as a lot of my contemporaries, my friends, I would not have been able to do and accomplish what I was able to accomplish.
Amen, brother.
Now, does that mean that there's times that I was like, gosh, man, like I missed out on stuff? Sure. Right. But I'm telling you right now, I would not have been able to do what I did. Where I messed up is trying to have both, though. and dating girls for long periods of time without getting married to them, and that's not right. That's wasting their time. And I talked to you about this last night, feeling conviction about a girl, serious relationship. I had been engaged before, and I hurt people, man.
That's right.
Wasting time, and I hate that. And I think I tarnish my testimony to certain girls. And I'm not even talking about like sexually because of sexual stuff, just in the way that I wasted their time.
Right.
So didn't mean to ramble there, but
no,
a lot to it.
It's good. You're right. There is a lot to it, and I don't know, man. I agree with you. I think there's two camps here. Like you said, I think it's people aren't reading the Bible, or they've grown so they put their earmuffs on, the Christian earmuffs.
Well, especially when popular Christianity tells you that worshiping your family or getting married being the ultimate sign of maturity. Like when they're telling you that's the right way.
That's right.
It's hard not to be.
You must trust the Bible. You must know the Bible.
Yeah. So this leads to this kind of last question they had. How can and what can singles learn from married people?
You can learn.
So how can they learn from them? First of all,
you can learn what love is.
Well, that's beautiful. That's a great point.
Yeah, like when you see
agape love.
Exactly. When you see a husband or wife sacrifice for their significant other, their husband or wife, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And then if you're able to take that and apply it to your own life, and you realize that's what Jesus does for you every day, like that's beautiful. And that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to accomplish. There's plenty of stuff that falls into love too. Like patience with each other,
bearing with each other,
right, bearing with each other. Because clearly, at the end of the day, when it comes to marriage, it's two people who have sin inside of them that are trying to live like Jesus loves the church, and that's not an easy task. And you learn perseverance. You can learn perseverance from a marriage. You can learn, like I said, patience.
Well, from married people, yeah, you can see that, yeah. And how can you, spend time with them? Spend time with married folk and be friends with them. And I agree with everything he said. You can learn a lot about you ready for this? Loving your enemies. Sometimes your spouse can feel like your biggest enemy, right? And when you see someone love them when you see two people who know each other's, yes, they know their best, but they know their worst traits, and they're still loving and serving each other, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
And really shows you a picture of Christ in the church. So here's the other side. How can married people what can they learn from singles?
I think that married people can learn. They can learn. I'm trying to think of how to put it. They can learn that just because they're married doesn't mean that their journey with Jesus stops.
Oof,
you know what I'm
so
saying?
good.
Like I'm trying to put that in better words, but I just
their
can't
individual journey with Jesus.
Just because you're married doesn't mean you don't have an individual relationship with Jesus or with your own goals or whatever it may be. When you get married, that does not stop. And that's what I think causes issues in so many marriages now, is because that's what happens usually. Is the person you were, when that person met you, they saw you as an individual. They did. They saw you as an individual of what you were doing and the journey you were on, and they were willing to come alongside you with that journey, not just to stand and look at each other and just stop. So I think what married people can learn from single people is to remember who they were before that, and that's still you.
That's really good, man. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's the.
I think they can learn passion. I think they learn what it is to serve, because a lot of times we're talking about people who are sold out for the kingdom. How to give up their time, not make excuses. I think married couples a lot use each other as excuses to not do kingdom work.
That's good.
And single people, you can see that passion. How can they do it? Stop treating your single friends as like they're losers. Stop I cannot believe how many couples I have some people in here like, I don't relate to anyone, and they're married with young kids. It's like, you can't relate to someone your age that doesn't have kids. That's weird.
Yeah.
You're being weird. You can be friends with people that aren't married. Spend time with them. Invite them to your things. Stop doing just couple things. That's so weird.
Dude, that's so good, actually.
It's so weird.
You're right, because you don't really see that if a couple is married, you don't ever see them inviting single people and stuff. It's always, like you said, it's always in couples.
They try to find people the same place as they are in life, which then creates an echo chamber where you're just talking and the same thing to each,
That's good, man. Like it's almost like it creates like a stagnancy and even in like your own growth because you're not being around other people. Like you're not being around different people. That's really good. I like that.
So I guess we can kind of think. Thank you. I think we can wrap it up by saying, listen, single people marriage is beautiful, and you can see when a husband and wife are both seeking Jesus and wanting to have a biblical relationship, marriage. I mean, it's a beautiful picture of Christ in the church when you let it be. Ephesians 5 shows us that. And married people, quit being knuckleheads and looking down on single people, and remember that actually Paul says you're more blessed if you're single.
That's
in some ways, and quit judging everyone and your leaders based on whether they're married, and understand that and know the Bible. Paul, Paul wasn't married. Jesus wasn't married, and they did plenty of good kingdom work, and they taught and they led and they loved and all those kinds of things. So
put some respect on the single.
Boom. It's not JV. Yeah, it's Paul talks about it. Go read 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Wherever you're at in life and whatever position you're in, you can glorify God being that. Right? It always reminds me, it has not anything to do with marriage, but it reminds me of the quote I heard once, like, we don't need more Christian music. We need more Christians in music. Right?
Amen.
So that's it. Great question. Great topic. I enjoyed today.
I love today. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you guys giving us this topic and just all this stuff to talk about. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hey, if you're on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, why don't you guys subscribe or follow us? Just go ahead and do it. You're already here. Other than that, appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Like Todd says, if you guys have any questions, link is somewhere, www.theremnant.life/real-talk. Give us a question, topic, anytime, completely anonymous.
You heard him. He said it. And if you guys would like to donate to our ministry, especially if you don't attend this church and you're outside, but you're blessed by Real Talk, would you consider even giving $5 right now as you're listening at www.theremnant.life/give? Guys, we're not a massive church.
Nope.
And it's completely funded by our church, and we believe in it because we want to bless people. But, man, we would love you to partner with us. It's completely tax deductible. We don't do this every time, but bring this up. But we consider it. Would you consider it? Also, please, like he said, like and share. The more engagement and likes we get, share this video, share this podcast. The more views it gets, the more people get to hear kingdom stuff and get hopefully an opportunity to think about stuff.
That's right. Be a part of the ministry.
Yeah. Social media needs it, right? That's what we say.
Boom.
Social media needs it. Other than that, guys, hope to see you soon. We'll have our next episode out, Lord willing, next week.
Yep.
Episode 110. That's wild.
110.
And if you want to join us for our live show, you can join us this Thursday on Facebook and YouTube at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
EST.
And, yeah, we'll be on for an hour and a half, having some fun, laughs, interacting with you guys live. That's it. Other than that, we hope you guys... Oh, you can also check out our church page at www.theremnant.life and hear sermons at The Remnant Church. Type that into your podcast player. It's got a fancy R. I think that's it. Other than that, we hope you guys have a great day, and we mean this truly. God bless you.